Well, good afternoon and season's greetings to all of you out there on Facebook. We like to say good afternoon once again and welcome to Tea Time Tuesday. Season's greetings to all of you from the Renewal Center. And good afternoon to everyone that's watching us over there on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, this would be a great day to go over there and watch us live if you want to. But we're streaming live over there. Go ahead, like and subscribe this broadcast. And then we want to say invite your friends, invite your colleagues, invite your family members to an afternoon of pause, an afternoon of reset, and an afternoon of building resilience. How many of you guys like that music that we were playing when you came on? We hope that you guys are ready, and we're already entering into a new month. And actually, this is the first Tea Time Tuesday for December 2023. So we're excited about what we're going to be doing this month for Tea Time Tuesday. And we just so excited that you got your journals. I got my Tea Time journal with me. I hope you got your tea. I got my tea. We're excited that you are here. And yes, without delay, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with our national awareness that we all are focusing on here at the Renewal Center this month in December. And that is National Grief Awareness Week. National Grief Awareness Week. And we're honoring this particular awareness because this is a time to recognize the fact that grief is acknowledged. We acknowledge grief that exists in our lives and those that are impacted by grief. And then just the experience of grief and then showing support. And, you know, this is a great time for us to get on board, especially during the month of December.
Yes.
When a lot of people are really feeling the impact of grief and how they are navigating through grief. And so that's a soft spot here for us here at the Renewal Center, because this is something, one of our programmings that we offer here, even at the Renewal Center, is our grief. Yes, our grief recovery program. So this is near and dear to us as well. So we want to also invite each and every one of you this month to take time out to show support in some way, or even in your thoughts about grief recovery. We're showing this on the screen because this is National Grief Awareness Week. We have our All Roads Lead to Grief Recovery here at the Renewal Center, where we offer individual grief sessions, our GPS, which is Grief Pain Stress Group Session. And you can find out more information about these particular programs that we offer under grief recovery here at the Renewal Center. We have qualified and certified grief recovery specialists right here on site at the Renewal Center. So we're really excited that you are tuning in, and we're kicking off the month of December, and we're excited, and we're going to go right into our tea of the week. So how about a nice, refreshing, but hot and spicy tea? And it is apple spice tea for those of you that love apples and the flavor of apples. This is really good. This is a combination of apple cider, ginger, allspice, cloves, black tea, and your sweetener of choice. So I know you're going to find this to be really, we're going to wait a second here. The fire department's going by. There we go. We really enjoy this particular type of tea during the holidays. So maybe you can whip a little bit of this up while you are celebrating the holidays. And Monique is saying she loves apple spice tea. And while you guys are out there, thank you, Monique. I like it too. But while you're out there, go ahead and tell us what your tea of choice is so we can get ready for the day and just settle ourselves. And, you know, we're here as our Tea Time community to share and to jump in on this dialogue, especially today, because today is going to be a really special time of, I like to say, I'll just say it's going to be a really special time for us. Something we really haven't covered, and we're looking excited to glean from this today, our Tea Time community. So let's locate ourselves. Let's take a moment to relax, to kind of calm down. Some of us just got to our desks. Let's relax our shoulders and our hands. And during this time of locating yourself, perhaps you can select a word, a positive word that you can focus on about pausing, about resetting, or building resilience. And so I'm going to start by focusing on the word harmony, which is a part of resetting. So let's take a moment to just focus in on the imagery and relax. And just another second to just allow yourself to get into a position to go into our renewal practice today. Thank you so much for joining us for that. And like I said, the word that I focused on was harmony. You guys want to go ahead? Hi, Nicole. Maybe put something in the chat to tell us what you were focusing on as Patrick. Jay Brown, our executive director, is going to come in with our renewal practices today. And also share what you're drinking.
All right. Thank you so much, Carmela. This is wonderful. Welcome, everyone, to our Tea Time Tuesday. Welcome, December. This is about pausing, resetting, and building resilience here as a community. So I want to welcome everyone. I know that you have your journals prepared and you're ready. So let us know, what is your tea of choice? Monique says she loves apple spice tea. All right. Dr. Brown, hey, Dad, how are you? Lemon ginger. All right. Anybody else, please share with us what your tea of choice is for today. And again, this is about us building resilience and taking time for us to pause, reset, and build resilience. So just grateful to be here this afternoon with everyone. If you can, just list one word today, one word. Go ahead and put that word there on in the chat. What's that one word you're focusing on right now? All right. Nicole says she has coffee. All right. Thank you so much. Deborah says turmeric and ginger with a honey spoon. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Tisha says green tea. All right. Michelle says hazelnut coffee. All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey, Hope. Good afternoon. Hey, Director of our digital stewardship. Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon. What's your tea of choice? Hope probably got Earl Grey going on over there. But
yes. Yes, she does.
Right. What is your one word for today? Tranquility. Anybody else? Please share with us your one word for today. We're checking in because this is, again, about pausing, resetting, and building resilience. So, and yes, confirmation, Earl.
You were on point.
Yes, I'm accurate one day out of the week. So, all right, everyone. Today's tea time, I really want to dive into, I think, just to kick off December. And for those of you that are sensitive to timing and seasons, since we're closing out our year, I think this particular practice today will be helpful for not just you, but your job, your life, your family. And I want to talk today about mind shifts to growth. Mind shifts to growth. Mind shifts to growth. And when we think about shifts, we're talking about going from one place to another. When you think about shifts, what comes to your mind? Shifts. I like to say shifts happens. Shift happens. And so we move from one place to the next. We expand, we grow. We're in pivotal moments. And so we're going to discuss today some renewal practices around mind shifts to growth. And I like a stick shift car. I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's something about a stick shift car. I remember, Mel, you used to have the old Toyota back in the day.
That was my first car. Yeah.
It was. Was it 1981 Toyota?
I forgot. It had 4 gears though.
You did. I tell you, yep. And so again, something about shifting, because when you're shifting, there's things that you must press and have an alignment and in balance when you are shifting. So tea timers, what happens when you think about the word shift? What comes to your mind? A change is taking place. Thank you, Keisha, for sharing that. Anybody else? Shifting. What comes to your heart and your mind when you think about shifting? And we're going to focus specifically on that today. Okay. First renewal practice is the shift of practice. The shift of practice. I want to ask you, what are you practicing in order for you to have a mindset for growth? Let's meditate on this, okay? Take your time and let this settle inside. See, the renewal practice is about mind shifts to growth. And I've asked the question, what comes to mind when you think about the word shift? Well, the first thing we're going to focus is on the shift of practice. All right. Let's see. Tina says adjustments. Michelle says reposition, rearrange, adjustments. Anybody else, please feel free to share your perspective on this today. Love to hear from you. So the first area we're going to focus on today is the shift of practice. And why do we need to have the shift of practice as a renewal practice today? Well, part of that is we have 3 types of practice. First of all is mindless practice. You're just doing something because you're just used to doing it. Mindless practice, just kind of walking through the motions. And so if we're going to shift our minds, we have to consider, and I want us to encourage us to consider, what are we practicing? Now, Carmela, you used to take piano lessons, and you've taken them many years ago. And so, tell me if mindless practice works if you're going to learn an instrument. Just curious.
Mindless practice. Well, I first believe that you need to get into a place of learning, because if you don't learn from theory, now I'm just going to say, because I've learned to play from ear. I play from ear too, and from theory. But I think you have to be in a place of wanting to learn, because it takes repetition over and over to go over your keys, to learn the fundamentals of the instrument that you're playing. So it would have to take, when you say mindless, it means I believe you would have to be open to learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to start off with that, because we're talking about the shift to practice. That's the first shift. If you're going to grow, is looking at how do you approach your practice time. And that may mean to consider, what do you want to see yourself sharpen? Like, what's an area that you want to sharpen? And I want you to put that top of mind. What do I want to sharpen, and how am I practicing? And like you said, you had to learn ear, you had to learn theory. They're interchangeable. You wanted to be open and intentional and deliberate about your practice. Mindless has no specific goal in mind. There's no feedback. I'm just practicing, trying, and I'm hoping. That does not help you shift. When you're just trying and just hoping, there's no goal in mind, there's no feedback that's given. So when we talk about our renewal practice for the day regarding shift, it's mindless practice. And why are we discussing this part? Because sometimes we have mindless practice. We're not deliberate enough. We're not intentional enough. And so you have purposeful practice, which is well-defined and clear targets. Clear targets. Everybody put in the comments, clear targets, well-defined, clear targets. When you have purposeful practice, what you're doing is you have well-defined end game, a well-defined goal, and you have clear targets. And what that does is that helps you make the small steps in order for you to be able to get there. So again, mind shifts all right, to growth starts out with practice. Do we know what we want to sharpen? Carmela, is there anything that you're thinking through that perhaps that you want to sharpen? Just any area that you're thinking, saying, hey, I like to see this area sharpen, maybe a competency or a skill.
Yeah. Critical thinking. I believe there's always ways to learn. I'm always open to learn, but I believe there's always areas of critical thinking that you can always sharpen. And that's for me, because I'm always wanting to learn more.
Okay, so critical thinking.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. We had a couple of comments coming in. Hope says continuous learning.
Yeah.
About shifts. Clear targets, everybody. Absolutely. The first thing about purposeful practice is having clear targets, well-defined goals. And so here's where I want to be. So Carmela said she wants to do grow and expand in critical thinking. Anybody else out there, T-timers, what are some of your skills or competencies that you would like to expand in and sharpen? Hey, Charlisa, good afternoon to you as well. Thank you for coming on today. So here's a couple of things we want to focus on today. Is we don't want to be in mindless practice. We want to be purposeful, which is about clear targets. And in purposeful practice, that's when you get that internal feedback loop going on. You kind of know when you're off track. Oh, I didn't practice today. Oh, I didn't really work on that. And if we can use Carmela's focus on critical thinking, if I'm going to be in critical thinking, what are some of the things that you should do? Perhaps ask different questions. Maybe that's a part of critical thinking. So again, it's that internal feedback that takes place when you know you're off track as it relates to being purposeful in our practice. All right. All right. Somebody else is, Michelle says she wants to learn active listening. Okay. Anybody else? What are some of these skill sets, competencies that you want to expand in? I want you to think about this deliberately. Then the third practice here is deliberate practice. This is informed by the guidance of an expert. So we have not mindless practice where I don't really have an end game. I have the purposeful practice where it's about that internal feedback and small steps. But then there's that deliberate part of practice that it's informed by the guidance of an expert. All right. Providing the feedback necessary that leads to the development of what we call self-monitoring. So everybody put in the chat, self-monitoring. Self-monitoring. If we're going to grow, again, this is about mind shifts, to growth. Part of it is that we must have the shift of practice. What is the competency? What is the skill? All right. We saw active listening. We heard critical thinking. What else are you thinking about as far as a skill or a competency that you want to grow in? And these are the three approaches to practicing. And I want you to really think through, how do you practice? Okay. So that's our first renewal practice for today. Here, a couple more coming in. Tina says emotional balance and awareness. All right. So everyone, if active listening, we have emotional balance and awareness. We got critical thinking. Anybody else, please feel free to share what competency or skill set you want to see yourself expand or sharpen, and just type in self-monitoring. That's what happens when we are in specific, deliberate practice, because we have an expert, we have someone that is demonstrating where we want to be, and they're giving us feedback and insight so that I can have self-monitoring. I know if I am growing, I know if I'm expanding. And so as a result of that, I develop that internal self-monitoring that takes place. That's when you know your practice is now deliberate. Go ahead, Mel, you're thinking over there.
I was just focusing on the word sharpening because that's a key word, because even though you may be growing in an area, you can really become rusty too when you don't use your skill, or for whatever reason, things could happen and you might just kind of put it on the shelf, or you're not in a place where you're actually actively using it. So I like how you said sharpening, because I think that's a key piece to growth and development, is because we're rusty sometimes.
Yes, we are.
We're going to need some sharpening from somebody that's an expert.
Absolutely. So that means that if I do not have an expert in the area that I want to grow in. What am I doing? What is your plan?
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan from the shift of practice? So our first renewal practice today is the shift of practice. Let's go to the next one, the shift of attention.
Wow.
Woo. We have practice. Now we have the shift of attention.
That's going to be something.
Now, goodness gracious, that means we got to pay attention to our repetitions, our patterns, and our cycles. Now, I know people say 21 days habit, but this is about 40 to 50. You need to have about 40 to 50 repetitions to get in a groove. 40 to 50 repetitions. Some people say 21 days.
21 days.
But 40 to 50 repetitions of the action, of the skill set, of the competency to get into a groove. You know what it does in your brain? It even strengthens your neural pathway in that particular area. So it reinforces it. So in terms of attention, are you paying attention to your repetitions, your patterns, and your cycles? And are you giving them attention? That means the ones that are productive and the ones that are not, that are counterproductive. So we got two shifts: practice, number one; number two, attention. What am I giving attention to? Why? Whatever I focus on, that's where my energy flows. Whatever I focus on, that's where my mind goes. Whatever I focus on, that's what's going to enter my life and exit my life. So it's important to look at repetitions. What are you repetitively building to grow? Or is it, I'm not into that? Okay, that's fine. We have our proclivities, we have our preferences, but are we looking at our repetitions and our patterns and our cycle, and are we creating new ones? Are we creating new ones? So I want to ensure that we're thinking about this: the shift of practice, the shift of attention. Okay, T-timers, let me know what you're thinking. Have you considered the skill set and the competency that you want to grow in? And what practices are you doing in those three areas? And then how are you focusing or shifting your attention? Are you are you being repetitive where you need to be? Quality matters. Quality matters. So if I'm not giving the right attention because I'm not being coached in it, I'm not getting the right quality. How important it is, do you think, Carmela, concerning this second renewal practice about the shift of attention as it relates to looking at our repetitions, our patterns, and our cycles? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as you were talking, the first thing that came to my mind is going back to what Tea Time Tuesday is about. And this part here, when you were talking about repetition to shift our attention, maybe we're in a place of reset. So when we're resetting where we are, or this new place of what we're trying to sharpen, by watching how we repeat these things, by watching if we're developing a pattern and a cycle of doing that, like you said, the 40 to 50 repetitions. Or are we building resilience in the area by looking at the negative, not trying to, but those things that don't serve us, in the repeating those things? Is there a pattern there, or is there a cycle? So how can I build resilience in this area? So I like how you use this analogy of shifting attention. Are we continually doing something that doesn't serve us, or are we continually doing something that's going to reset us and turn us, kind of recalibrate where we are, so that we can sharpen ourselves? So I'm looking at them from both ways, from what our tenets are for Tea Time Tuesday: building resilience and reset.
And I'm glad that you did that, because you started talking about how you want to sharpen your critical thinking skills. Yeah. So even in what you just did, you looked at all aspects of it. You stepped back and said, how can I learn from the positive, the negative, and the in-between? That's critically thinking.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So even in that, you didn't just stay in one area.
Right.
You looked at what serves you, what doesn't serve me, what am I going to give my attention to? You're exploring all these different aspects. that right there even shows how you're growing in your critical thinking approach. So I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to affirm that and celebrate that practice that you just did. So again, folks, we're talking about repetition. We're talking about the shifts to growth. We covered attention. We covered practice. I'm going to bring the attention screen back up one more time. What is repetitive in your life? What are positive, productive, healthy patterns? Do you know the cycles in your life? And are you able to impact them in ways that are productive for you, or reset when you need to? All right. Tina says here, good. Where I put my attention, it grows. Good, bad, or indifferent. Absolutely. Absolutely. These are important that we're able to look at how we are engaging our attention. All right, let's go to the next one. The shift of self-talk. The shift of self-talk. Now, this is when, what am I saying about myself?
Dig in.
Okay, so not about anybody else, but what am I saying about myself right now?
It's good.
What am I saying about myself in different situations and circumstances? This includes stories and narratives and sub-narratives that I come up with. And so I was thinking about the book Growth Mindset, and I dug into that. And in the book by Carol Dweck, she talks about mindset, the new psychology of success. Many of you read this, of course, but I wanted to draw from that particular work as it relates to the shift of self-talk. All right. Now I want you to think about this as it relates to you being in a stick shift. And, again, you're driving, you got to press your gear, your clutch while you're moving to the next one. Sometimes you got to put a pause on what you say. And not just say, well, I'm just sharing what I have to say. Yes. However, we want to monitor what comes out of our mouth regarding ourselves. So here's a practice. There's limiting self-talk, and then there's liberating self-talk.
This is good. Really good.
All right. What does Charlize say here, Mel?
The shift of self-talk. I need to sit here a little while.
Okay.
All right, Charlize.
For a bit there. So, all right. Michelle says this. I'm engaged in conversations daily, and I realize there are some pieces of info I tend to forget, but the reality is I haven't committed some of the information I hear to memory, which means I wasn't actively listening, perhaps. But it's good, Michelle, that you're assessing that. And I think it's good that we take a step back and look at how we are listening. Thank you for sharing that regarding attention. All right, let's look at this from a perspective of limiting and liberating, all right, in terms of our self-talk. Now, here it says, for instance, here's just one example. I can't do this. That's self-talk that I have inside. Yeah. Or say, if I practice, I can grow my thinking. If I practice, when I grow my thinking, I grow my doing. And if I grow my doing, I also grow my thinking. Or I just say, I made a mistake. Instead of saying that, I will learn from my mistakes and do better, period. Even the one that says, I'm great at this. Since I'm great at this, I should give myself a challenge. So I'm great at this.
I like that.
Great at this. I'm good at this. I'm going to give myself another challenge to grow. See the power of self-talk?
Yeah. Power.
So we need to shift our practice, shift our attention, and shift our self-talk, where we go from limiting self-talk to liberating self-talk. I want to hone in on that one that says feedback is threatening versus feedback is useful for learning and improving. Setbacks as discouragement and blame, instead of saying, this is a wake-up call. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work smarter. Or even a limiting belief, say, I know, versus I know and I want to evolve. You see the difference? One has the potential for you to plateau. The other one has the potential for you to progress. Everybody meditate on this and think about what you're saying about yourself to yourself. This is a very potent renewal practice here. about shifting our self-talk? Tea timers, how are you doing about that? How are you working on that? I want you to think about this. If you haven't read the book, go back. And if you've read it, go reread it. But I just begin to rethink about this. We have limiting self-talk and liberating self-talk. I give up. And you know what? Giving up will only make it harder. I'm going to try again. I'm going to reach out and get help. It's not harmful to say, I don't know. Can someone help me? I like, can you share some perspectives with me that help me do this? Okay. Hope says, checking our self-talk regularly. Yes, we must look at that. Thank you for sharing that. What does Charlize say here? Mel, you can read that.
The liberation is where you don't remain stuck as you begin to shift. I like that. Liberation.
Deborah says, I feel like you're telling all my business today. Welcome to resilience.
Yes.
This is powerful. Thank you for this practice. You're welcome. Hopefully this is helping everyone today. All right, so the self-talk, again, we talked about this, and again, we're shifting growth. Let's go to the next one. And our final one, just real pause. So far, I just want to just pause it for a moment and ask, what's I would say is really being highlighted in your mind right now? What are you focusing on right now as a result of our Tea Time renewal practice for today? I want you to think about that. As you're thinking about that, please place that in the comments. Again, some of you that may not have answered about what are you working on? What's the skill set that you want to give attention to? What's the skill set or competency you want to sharpen? We heard active listening. We talked about emotional awareness. It was critical thinking skills. What is yours that you're focusing on? Because we have to be deliberate about the shift of growth or the shift to grow. While you're doing that, I want to encourage you concerning the Renewal Center here. We are in Giving Tuesday each Tuesday. So I want to just also give your attention to supporting the Renewal Center. We are here on site here, 159 Church Street, Northeast in the historic district of Concord. We are a nonprofit organization, which means that we would appreciate your support with a donation or supporting the Renewal Center. These are the various ways you can support the Renewal Center today. We are in our fall winter giving initiative, our giving challenge for these next month. It was October, November. We're going to bring it over into December as we move into the winter season. And so I want to encourage you. These are the ways to give. It will be on the bottom of the screen and also in our other areas of giving through our website or our text to give. We have PayPal and Zelle, which is the Renewal Center 2020 at Gmail for both PayPal and Zelle. You can also Cash App us at Cash Renewal Center, and Venmo is at Renewal Center, and then you can mail a check or money order to our P.O. box. And so just wanted to pause here for a moment and thank you for your investment in the Renewal Center. All right, let's keep rolling here. Our next and final renewal practice. Y'all ready? Here we go. The shift of musing with music. Now, this is your renewal practice for the month of December for this week. Now, the shift of musing with music. Now, the word muse, just by definition, means to think. Use, right? The word amuse, when you put an A in front of it, it means to not. So that means to not think. So what we're going to do is we're going to be deliberate about our music, and we're going to muse about music. How are we going to use music to grow? I want you to write down what you want to be, do, and learn. Go ahead and put those three terms: to be, to do, to learn. Because what you're going to do now is you're going to set a playlist in your digital device. You're going to set a playlist today. All right. Teresa says her focus is on emotional awareness. Okay, Teresa, thank you for sharing, and make sure you look at the replay because we got a couple of things I think will be very helpful for us today. So we're going to focus on the shift of musing with music. Write down, please, to be, to do, to learn. To be, to do, to learn. And so one of the things that we're going to focus on with this practice is when you look at the word to be, to do, and to learn, because music, what that does for us, there's certain things that take place in our brain, certain things that take places in our lives when we focus on music. All right? Everybody settled on the music flow. Thoughts? I'm going to give you time to write it out. To be, to do, to have. Write it out. This is a renewal practice. So we got to practice this because it's a renewal practice. Now, music-wise, the goal of this is I want to empower you to use it for yourself. And you're going to create your own playlist to anchor your learning, to anchor your growth, to make information easier to recall. So this music is going to anchor you in something you want to be, to do, and to learn. Is everybody with me on this? Carmela, does this make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Want to make sure I'm communicating this clearly. So for example, I decided I was moving into a new role. I was struggling with the tension of being between two places, and my schedule, my time management, my time, just everything was, it wasn't structured. It wasn't systemic. So I went back to my archives and I grabbed Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness, written by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And I began to use that as I'm going to intentionally go into this new space with a positivity, with a leadership focus. And I actually began to write down some things every time I heard the song. You can win. As long as I kept thinking about it, I would play it at a certain time to reinforce what I wanted to be when I showed up. I want you to focus on, that's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your playlist. I want you to think about what it is that you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to learn. And I want you to tie a song, one song to be, and then another song to do, and then another song to the learn. And what that does is it anchors your learning, it anchors your growth. And what ends up happening is you can recall. That's why they sing songs a lot in education, and there's more music involved with children. And what we end up doing is music begins to help your imagination. It begins to express it. There's a language, there's a commonality, there's a unity that happens there. And so that's part of it, is being deliberate and intentional about using music for recall. You get concepts from a particular song, and you take that concept from that song, and it creates an opportunity for retrieve and recall when you put your playlist together. So you got to be very deliberate. So I'm going to pause here for a moment. And Carmela, I want you to just think about this. Anything, I know this is more spontaneous right now, but is there a particular song that may come to your mind for B or for D?
I'm sitting here thinking that.
Anything?
I'm thinking.
Timers, please feel free to share. Any thoughts? I know you're probably still making your list there.
Thinking.
Okay, I know everybody's probably still thinking as well. We'll probably need to revisit this one. This is we'll need a follow-up on this particular tea time, because I think that it's important that we look at what have we done in the area of practice? What have you done in the area of attention? What have you done in the area of self-talk? And then also the shift of musing with music. The shift of musing with music, and using that as a retrieving and recall. Any thoughts that you have on this, ma'am, this particular subject, this renewal practice today?
Well, I mean, we all know that music is a universal language. And the thing about music is anyone can use this renewal practice to start implementing recall and using it as an encouragement. Not only just an encouragement, but sometimes we need just basic motivation. So if you're doing this repetitiously, you're listening to this song repetitiously for the whole purpose and intentionality of being, doing, and learning, somewhere along the line, it's gonna put a pep in your step, and it's gonna push you to being, doing, and learning. So I like how you've implemented this into our renewal practice today. And that's shifting because now we're growing and we're shifting by using music. And I think this is, I like this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is important that we think through how, and it could be rhythms, it could be drums, it doesn't even necessarily have words. You can tie that to the experience, to the learning, to a particular outcome that you want to recall and retrieve, so that when you do listen to it, it really becomes transformative. You begin to see yourself really intentional about, when I listen to this. So I chose optimistic, and I needed that because there was a mindset that I was in, and I didn't want to stay in that, if I can use the word funk, I didn't want that funk to be there. Like, it just was just there. I wanted to ensure that I was able to get out of that, and it reinforced what I wanted to be and what I wanted to give my energy and my focus to. So I know the T-timers are probably still out there deliberating right now. Don't see a lot of comments coming in, but what I'd like for you to do is, out of what we've shared today, all of our renewal practices about the shift of practice, the shift of attention, the shift of self-talk, and the shift of musing with music. What are your takeaways? What was a key learn for you? What is something that you're going to do differently? Because this is about the shifts to growth, the shifts to growth. So I'll start with you, Carmela. You can share with us what is your takeaway or combination of the few, and then we want to hear from our T-timers.
Yeah. I like the fact that you are talking about shifting, because when you were asking at the very beginning, what does shift mean? I was thinking it means changing into a new direction, or going from one place to the next. And so as you were encouraging us to find a place that we wanted to sharpen, I'm thankful for this renewal practice today, because I'm growing even through this in my critical thinking, to ask more questions, to see things, solutions. And this is a good way for me to start. So awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I am challenged because one of the things that I want to focus on is continue to ensure my self-talk, I monitor that more. And that last one about I know and I want to evolve, to keep evolving, and being grateful for new information and fresh insights. And I think also there's some things I can be coached in. So there's some things I want to see myself grow. So I'm going to be deliberate in my attention in terms of practice and getting exposed to some new information and some new processes and principles and applications. So let's read a couple of these comments that are coming in. Nichelle says here, I'm sorry, go right ahead, please.
I just want to say I like this because growth is continuous, and there's always something new we can learn. So this, I just want to say this, and this really launches those of us that may have been in a funk or in a place. So this is good for us to open our mind and expand, to learn a new book, a new something. Even the new book that you have shared with us. What was that? The new book from the statistics or I'm trying to find it.
The growth mindset.
The growth mindset. Might be something to put in our library. So
right, absolutely. We get some thoughts coming in here about music. Folks are chiming in. This is good to see what everyone is doing here. Shift in attention in your job. Thank you, Tina, for sharing. Anybody else? What is something you're working on? Again, this is about evolving, not necessarily just what you're doing as much as what you're going to do differently. So when we say takeaways, that's what we're talking about, is here's what I'm going to do differently so that I can move into a place of application in my growth. So again, so I want to just bring up some of these comments that are being shared. This is good. This is good. This is good. All these playlists that people are going to recreate. And I want you to tie your playlist to learning, what you want to be, do, and learn. So maybe create just one song for the be, one song just for the hat or the do, and then the one for to learn, and then create the playlist there and reinforce tie some learning and growth to it, because you want to work on the recall. You want to work on the retrieval of learning and content and information. It's a practice. So it's not to say, oh, I got playlists. Okay. But are we deliberate about what we want to learn? We want to tie learning, doing, and being to what it is that we have in our playlist. So that's the practice. All right. And again, focus on attention, focus today on your practice, focus today on the shift of your self-talk. And that Tea Timers concludes our tea time for today. So please feel free to share your comments with us. I just want to remind you also again that today is our Giving Tuesday. Just wanted to respond to that. If you, again, if tea time has been a strength to you, a value add to you today, I want you to really think about considering supporting the Renewal Center. And again, these are the ways that you can give to the Renewal Center. You can go to our website at therenewalcenters.com/give. You can text, also download the mobile app. We want to encourage you with that as well. We have PayPal and Zelle, which is the Renewal Center 2020 at Gmail. Our Cash App is Cash Renewal Center, and our Venmo is at Renewal Center as well. So I really hope that today's pause and reset and building resilience has been a strength to you. Before I close out and show our announcements, Carmela, any last words you want to share with the Tea Timers before we close out today?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to our Tea Time community for always sharing and chiming in and sharpening one another. So I've learned from you today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Please place in the comments what your takeaways. Please watch through all of our announcements as I share those. Bring our announcements up on the screen for you. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday for our tea time. I'll talk to these here. Of course, we have our Tea Time Tuesday, each first, second, and third Tuesdays at noon, and fourth Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for Tea Time Tuesday. Also, each Sunday, our New You Digital Discipleship. Please log in, go to our pages, and you can access the registration link each Sunday at 10 a.m. Reforming Cultures tomorrow, Wednesday at 7:30. We're teaching on the mind of Christ. Thank you for being a part of that as well. We also have each fifth Wednesday, our reformative prayer, time of prayer and really coming together and connecting. That's each fifth Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. We talked earlier about grief recovery and this being National Grief Awareness Week. If you need any support with grief recovery, please connect with us. All roads lead to grief recovery. Download our mobile app. You can hear all of our messages, our digital content, our blog, our motivational words to help you continue in your renewal. We also have our Women's Bible Study, Women at the Well, each first Saturday of each month. Please stay tuned to Pastor Carmela's class on the Women at the Well series. Looking forward to continued growth in that space. And lastly, of course, if you want to continue to support the Renewal Center, these are the ways that you can be strengthened and ways that you can support us. Thanks again, everyone, for being on today. And we hope that this has been a strength to you. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you the next time. And as we say, I am Renewal. Have a very good day.